Chapter-9. In Northern India. From May of 1897 to the end of that year, the Swami traveled and lectured extensively in northern India. The physicians had advised him to go as soon as possible to Almora, where the air was dry and cool, and he had been invited by prominent people in northern India to give discourses on Hinduism. Accompanied by some of his brother disciples and his own disciples, he left Calcutta, and he was joined later by the Seviers, Miss Muller, and Goodwin. In Lucknow, he was given a cordial welcome. The sight of the Himalayas and Almora brought him inner peace and filled his mind with the spirit of detachment and exaltation, of which these great mountains are the symbol. But his peace was disturbed for a moment when he received letters from American disciples about the malicious reports against his character spread by Christian missionaries, including Dr. Barrows of the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. Evidently, they had become jealous of the Swami's popularity in India. Dr. Barrows told the Americans that the report of the Swami's reception in India was greatly exaggerated. He accused the Swami of being a liar and remarked, "I could never tell whether to take him seriously or not. He struck me as being a Hindu Mark Twain. He is a man of genius and has some following, though only temporary." The Swami was grieved. At his request, the people of Madras had given Dr. Barrows a big reception, but the missionary, lacking religious universalism, had not made much of an impression. In a mood of weariness, the Swami wrote to a friend on the 3rd of June, 1897. "As for myself, I am quite content. I have roused a good many of our people, and that was all I wanted. Let things have their course and karma its way. I have no bonds here below. I have seen life, and it is all ego-self. Life is for the ego-self, love for the ego-self, honor for the ego-self, everything for the ego-self. I look back and scarcely find any action I have done for the ego-self. Even my wicked deeds were not for the ego-self. So I am content. Not that I feel I have done anything especially good or great, but the world is so little, life so mean a thing, existence so servile, that I wonder and smile that human beings, rational souls, should be running after this ego-self, so mean and detestable a prize. This is the truth. We are caught in a trap, and the sooner one gets out of that is the better for one. I've seen the truth. Let the body float up or down. Who cares? I was born for the life of a scholar, retired, quiet, poring over my books. But the mother dispensed otherwise. Yet the tendency is there. In Almora, the Swami's health improved greatly. On 29th May, he wrote to a friend, "I began to take a lot of exercise on horseback, both morning and evening. Since then, I have been very much better indeed. I really began to feel that it was a pleasure to have a body. Every movement made me conscious of strength. Every movement of the muscles was pleasurable. You ought to see me. When I sit meditating in front of the beautiful snow peaks and repeat from the Upanishads, 'He has neither dis-ease, nor decay, nor death, for verily he has obtained a full body from the fire of yoga.'" The Swami was delighted to get the report that his disciples and spiritual brothers were plunging heart and soul into the various philanthropic and missionary activities. From Almora, he went on a whirlwind tour of the Punjab and Kashmir, sowing everywhere the seeds of rejuvenated Hinduism. In Varali, he encouraged the students to organize themselves to carry on the work of practical Vedanta. In Ambala, he was happy to see his beloved disciples, the Seviers. After spending a few days in Amritsar, Dharamsala, and Muri, he went to Kashmir. In Jammu, the Swami had a long interview with the Maharaja and discussed with him the possibility of founding in Kashmir a monastery for giving young people training in non-dualism. In the course of the conversation, he sadly remarked how the present-day Hindus had deviated from the ideals of their forefathers, and how people were clinging to various superstitions in the name of religion. He said that in olden days, people were not outcasted even when they committed such real sins as adultery, whereas nowadays one became an untouchable simply by violating the rules about food. On the same topic, he said a few months later, "The people are neither Hindus nor Vedantins. They are merely don't-touchists. The kitchen is their temple, and cooking pots are their objects of worship. This state of things must go. The sooner it is given up, the better for our religion. Let the Upanishads shine in their glory, and at the same time let not quarrels exist among different sects." In Lahore, the Swami gave a number of lectures, among which was his famous speech on Vedanta philosophy, lasting over 2 hours. He urged the students of Lahore to cultivate faith in man as a preparation for faith in God. He asked them to form an organization, purely non-sectarian in character, to teach hygiene to the poor, spread education among them, and nurse the sick. One of his missions in the Punjab was to establish harmony among people belonging to different sects, such as the Arya Samajists and the Orthodox Hindus. It was in Lahore that the Swami met Mr. Tirtha Ram Goswami, then a professor of mathematics, who eventually gained wide recognition as Swami Ram Tirtha. The professor became an ardent admirer of Swami Vivekananda. Next, the Swami traveled to Dehradun, where for the first 10 days he lived a rather quiet life. But soon he organized a daily class on the Hindu scriptures for his disciples and companions, which he continued to conduct during the whole trip. At the earnest invitation of his beloved disciple, the Raja, he visited his capital, stopping on the way at Delhi and Alwar, which were familiar to him from his days of wandering prior to his going to America. Everywhere he met old friends and disciples and treated them with marked affection. The Raja lavished great honors upon him and also gave him a handsome donation for the Belur Math, which was being built at that time. Before returning to Calcutta, he visited Kishangarh, Ajmer, Jodhpur, and Khandwa, and thus finished his lecture tour in North India. During this tour, he explained to his fellow countrymen the salient features of Hinduism and told them that they would have a glorious future if they followed the heritage of the past. He emphasized that the resurgent nationalism of India must be based on spiritual ideals, but that healthy scientific and technological knowledge from the West also had to be assimilated in the process of growth. The fundamental problem of India, he pointed out, was to organize the whole country around religious ideals. And by religion, the Swami meant not local customs which served only a contemporary purpose, but the eternal principles taught in the Vedas. Wherever the Swami went, he never wearied of trying to rebuild individual character in India, pointing out that the strength of the whole nation depended upon the strength of the individual. Therefore, each individual, he urged, whatever might be his occupation, should try, if he desired the good of the nation as a whole, to build up his character and acquire such virtues as courage, strength, self-respect, love and service of others. To the young men especially, he held out renunciation and service as the highest ideal. He preached the necessity of spreading a real knowledge of Sanskrit, without which a Hindu would remain an alien to his own rich culture. To promote unity among the Hindus, he encouraged intermarriage between castes and subcastes, and wanted to reorganize the Indian universities so that they might produce real patriots rather than clerks, lawyers, diplomats, and government officials. Swami Vivekananda's keen intellect saw the need of uniting the Hindus and Muslims on the basis of Advaita philosophy, which teaches the oneness of all. On June 10, 1898, he wrote to a Muslim gentleman in Nainital, "The Hindus may get the credit for arriving at Advaitism earlier than other races, they being an older race than either the Hebrew or the Arab. Yet practical Advaita, which looks upon and behaves towards all mankind as one's own soul, is yet to be developed among the Hindus universally. On the other hand, our experience is that if ever the followers of any religion approach to this equality in an appreciable degree on the plane of practical workaday life, it may be quite unconscious generally of the deeper meaning and the underlying principle of such conduct, which the Hindus, as a rule, so clearly perceive. It is those of Islam and Islam alone. Therefore, we are firmly persuaded that without the help of practical Islam, the theories of Vedanta, however fine and wonderful they may be, are entirely valueless to the vast mass of mankind. We want to lead mankind to the place where there is neither the Vedas, nor the Bible, nor the Quran. Yet this has to be done by harmonizing the Vedas, the Bible, and the Quran. Mankind ought to be taught that religions are but the varied expressions of the religion which is oneness, so that each may choose the path that suits him best. For our own motherland, a junction of the two great systems, Hinduism and Islam, Vedantic brain and Islamic body, is the only hope. I see in my mind's eye the future perfect India, rising out of this chaos and strife, glorious and invincible, with Vedantic brain and Islamic body. For the regeneration of India, in the Swami's view, the help of the West was indispensable. The thought of India had been uppermost in his mind when he had journeyed to America. And on 6th April 1897, the Swami, in the course of a letter to a lady editor of an Indian magazine, had written, "It has been for the good of India that religious preaching in the West has been done and will be done. It has ever been my conviction that we shall not be able to rise unless the Western countries come to our help. In India, no appreciation of merit can be found, no financial support, and what is most lamentable of all, there is not a bit of practicality." The year 1898 was chiefly devoted to the training of Vivekananda's disciples, both Indian and Western, and to the consolidation of the work already started. During this period, he also made trips to Darjeeling, Almora, and Kashmir. In February of 1898, the monastery was removed from Alambazar to Nilambar, Mukherjee's garden house in the village of Belur, on the west bank of the Ganga. The Swami, while in Calcutta, lived at Balaram Bose's house. He was a lay disciple of Ramakrishna, and it had been a favorite haunt of Sri Ramakrishna's during his lifetime. But he had no rest either in the monastery or in Calcutta, where streams of visitors came to him daily. Moreover, conducting a heavy correspondence consumed much of his time and energy. One cannot but be amazed at the hundreds of letters the Swami wrote with his own hand to friends and disciples. Most of these reveal his intense reflection and some of his superb wit. While at the monastery, he paid especial attention to the training of sannyasins and brahmacharins, who, inspired by his message, had renounced home and dedicated themselves to the realization of God and the service of humanity. Besides conducting regular classes on the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the physical sciences, and the history of nations, he would spend hours with the students in meditation and devotional singing. Spiritual practices were intensified on holy days. In the early part of 1898, the site of the Belur Muth, the present headquarters of the Ramakrishna Muth and Mission, was purchased with the help of a generous donation from Miss Mueller, the devoted admirer of the Swami. Mrs. Ole Bull gave another handsome gift to complete the construction, and the shrine at the Belur Muth was consecrated on 9th December 1898. Sometime during this period, the Swami initiated into the monastic life Swami Sarupananda, whom he considered to be a real acquisition. This qualified aspirant was given initiation after only a few days' stay at the monastery, contrary to the general rule of the Ramakrishna Order. Later he became editor of the monthly magazine Prabhuda Parata and first president of the Advaita Ashrama at Mayavati in the Himalayas, which was founded on 19th March 1899.